Welcome to EVEREST-VW, another beautiful sunny day, and today we're working on this cool Swamper 5.1. So I'm just going to bring you in and I'm going to try and do a quick 5.1 start to finish video based on how things are done now, because there's been quite a few installs since some of my earlier install videos and actually most stuff's been specific to T6. So I'm going to try and do a start to finish. I'm going to try and work quite quickly, and I'm going to leave out some of the kind of explanation and detail. I'll say what I can while I'm doing it, but I'm trying to make this a quick start to finish video to support everybody with a full 5.1 install guide. Okay, so I'm going to just transfer the camera across. Welcome. Right, I'm making a quick T5.1 specific installation video today, and I'm going to try and take you through it fairly quick because, well, I've got fairly quick at doing it as well, but there's a few things we just need to think about and reference. There'll be other videos to nip over to for sections, but I'm just gonna make this a kind of one-stop shop for a T5.1 install and what you need to think about right now. Things do change, and not all of my advice is going to be relevant if things change in the future, but I'll try and clarify that as we go. Right, so first of all, you've got your unit. This is your new virtual unit. This is what you've received in the post, and you're installing it yourself, and you've been pointed to my guide, or you've clicked the QR code in the enclosed instructions, if I've got to that stage, which I certainly want to soon. Right, so this is your unit. It's the newest one. It's the version 2, you know, because you've got the HDMI in the center here. You can use this to great effect to feed in some really great inputs that are going to go into the central region in between your dials, and you can be like some of my videos have demonstrated. And I do also sell a really nifty Connect box, which I will show you shortly, which is really handy for getting that connection working. And in fact, here it is. So what you would get if you purchase my Connect kit is a box which has a miniature HDMI output, which we supply a special angled cable for, which I think we've got back here as well, and that angled cable makes life much easier when it comes to connecting into the back, particularly with the 5.1, because it saves us doing a cutout behind the dash. Always good to save yourself a cutout with a different cable, but that would feed that through to the glove box. I'm going to be doing that on this vehicle just shortly, and then this box here will use the USB-C, which will go straight into the USB input into the vehicle for the CarPlay and Android Auto. This particular unit is mine and also has the connected 5G SIM, which is an option that I do. That's a one-off payment whilst available, and yeah, I mean it's amazing. It has a remote control, which also has an air mouse on it if you want it. It's backlit, it's rechargeable USB-C. You can turn it on and off if you don't want it to be messed with or accidentally pressed. It lights up nice and blue. It's got a keyboard and a trackpad on this side, and yeah, I mean it turns your head unit into anything you want it to be, really. A TV, an internet, a workstation, gaming device, you name it. Anyway, right, back to the matter in hand, but just do consider those things at this stage, because obviously you can run the cabling at the same time and make sure that everything's how you want it. So looking inside this unit, what we've got a ribbon cable to be very careful with. That rotates through the bottom edge, so as you open it, just lay it down carefully. If you wanted to be extra sympathetic, you could use some of the foam packaging that comes with it, and you could just pop that under the back edge, just de-stress that ribbon cable there. You don't want to be in that situation where we have to replace this. There's a connector here and it's a real pain in the ass. I know from experience. So the first thing I've done on this one, we are going to have the media play kit demonstrated on this one. I disconnect personally the HDMI audio signal board here. This is just a small speaker that fires out the back. That won't affect any of your vehicle messages or alerts or warnings or indicators or anything like that. They all come from the onboard speaker in your original board that's we're going to be extracting from the dash in just a moment. But familiarize yourself with this, have a look inside, know what there is there. On the 5.1 we're actually going to be mounting the board onto these screw mounts here, and the port is going to be poking through the back there. So I'll move over there, I'll grab the dash out, and I'll show you what we're going to do next. Shout out for these as well. I'm bringing these into the website just because I absolutely love it. I use it all the time. Shameless plug, but I've managed to source a cheaper supply than I think you can even get them on Amazon. So I'll be putting these on the website, and they're just really nice. You can select your different torque levels. I use it for taking these apart and putting these together all the time. It comes with an awesome little magnetic case with all the bits you could ever need. And it replaces several kits that I've got like this, but they all just magnetize in place. This side's got even more parts. You've got a magnetize and a demagnetize, a magnet tray where you can chuck screws in. You take your bit off here, you pop it in there. It's forward, it's backward, it's torque setting. It's got LEDs on the front if you want to light up your area. What else? Got a USB-C charger on the back, which I love anything with a USB-C in my camper because that's just one cable form factor that I need to have. You clip that in place and you put away your bits, which I'm going to keep that out because I need it. It comes with a little magnetic tray for sticking small screws to, which might be useful. And then slide it into its holder and it clicks in place, but you can still charge it through the back. They've thought of everything on this. It's just a really handy little kit, and it even comes with totally deadly pointed tweezers, which I've already used several times to fix a few things. And if that wasn't enough, it also has this also handy kind of, if you're splitting apart something that's got clips on it, as a last resort. It's pretty cool to have all of that stuff in a tiny little convenient package like this, especially for me. So yeah, I've decided to bring them into my store because I just like them so much, and I've done a couple of fittings now where customers have literally gone off and bought one of these on my recommendation whilst I've been there, because they've been nice and impressed with it. And yeah, it's quite powerful actually. You have to make sure you grip this fairly hard when you're going to unscrew, because you don't realise how tight some of these screws are as they were cutting their way in the first time they were ever installed, and this twists in your hand a little bit. So yeah, it's quite powerful. I can't stop that tip in my hand. Shouldn't try. Right, so it's going to be a quick video. I've already tried to sell you an extra box and a screwdriver on the site, but right, I'm going to cut this video, pause this video. I'm going to move across into the cab, and I'm going to show you the coolest, fastest way to remove a 5.1 dash. So back in a second. I think we should approach the vehicle and appreciate just how cool this vehicle looks. This 5.1's had a fair bit of work done to it. Now I'm in a street, so I want to be quite quick with the door open, but essentially what we're going to do, we're going to come under here, we're going to as always undo the lever on the steering column, give it a pull up, down, out as far as it will go. Love this steering wheel actually. I have a flat bottom steering wheel of my own, but this one is the contours and I might be finding out where that came from. Yeah, we've got a lovely 5.1 dash here, complemented by some digital solutions over here. I have recommended that the customer have a look and see whether he's got any cable looms for his Toto anything with a HDMI output I said I'll accommodate. But yeah, we're going to be popping this out quite simply. Disgusting, like any van that's been through the conversions. It's probably had a piece of 2 before rammed in its face, and that was the end of that. Right, things I like using. I like using my little screen sucker thing. You don't need more than that. Don't do like one of my peeps did and go sticking. Oh, first of all, has it got screws in it? It's always worth checking. I've had a couple of vehicles where somebody's done something, so I'll pop that on there and give it a light pull. It takes nothing more than that to take it out. I've had a couple where the screws were never put back in by somebody, so that's always worth checking. Could save yourself a job. Right, so under here, I normally like to do this with a head torch just because to see my bit going in properly, but if I try and let this thing adjust to the light, zoom in a little bit, you will see a T. I think maybe I need to get a bit of extra light in there. Let me see if I can turn on my camera torch. Yes, I can. That's much better. There you go. From out of the darkness. There's one, and that's just on the right hand side there. That's a T20. The screwdriver, if you've got slim hands, you might even get in there. I do have slim hands, and I can get my whole hand through that hole, and I could use the enclosed screwdriver that came in the pack, and I can on this side as well. Not always the case, but you can. I tend to favour using my Torx driver with 30cm extension and a T20 bit with some mangled looking but heat shrunk mega magnets on the end of it, because I hate it when I drop a screw and I have to bounce around looking for it in there. So I have this big catch-all, and you'll see on the other side, so we're going back in here through the here, and we're just going to look up, and there's the other one there. So we've got one on the left, and then we've got one on the right, and we're just going to undo both those screws, and then the sucker will allow the DigiDash to slide straight out. So I'm going to undo both of those, and I'll show you the dash coming out in a second. Well, just wait with me. Okay, so that those 2 screws have come out nicely. Pop them somewhere safe. Normally use a little magnetic tray, but this it's got a nice clean empty dash. Right, so we just pop the little sucker onto the front of there, give it a little pull, and that's it. That's out. So then I can just carefully reach around the back of there, and then we're going to just release that orange clip, flip that up, pull the plug out, and that is the dash released, and we will go back to the bench. So give me 1 second and I will see you there. Actually, just before I do, it is worth a mention that you should understand how these work. And I know it's teaching some of you to suck eggs, but quite often I get people saying, my vehicle's immobilised, it's not working, what's wrong with it? I've had a couple of customers, and it's about this plug here. So just look at the position of that, the way that's locked down, how far in that's actually going. As we pull that lever, it's going to allow the plug to slide out, right? That is the starting position for any of these plugs to go back in again as well. That lever has to be all the way this way, all the way this way. And then when you put that back in again, you want to start like this and just push it in by hand until that lever starts to come to you, and then you finish it off by pushing the lever down. If you go in and the lever starts halfway up, I'll show you what the problem with that is. It's got these 2 teeth on it, 1 and 2. Excuse, I need a pedicure, very dry hands. But with these 2 teeth, it's possible that you only engaged one of the teeth and the plug is only halfway in. It could be half making its contact, it could be sensitive to bumps, it could be not working at all, almost certainly be immobilising your vehicle if that is either the plug that goes into the initial harness, like the female plug on the harness, or if that's the plug going into your original, which would look like this with the same colours on it. Okay, so we're going to grab this unplugged, carefully manoeuvre out, rotate past the steering wheel, and we'll nip to the rear of the vehicle and we'll transfer our bits and bobs across. Be sure to take this with me because it's annoying when I forget and lose it. Okay, so we'll go back round Mr. Swamper, back in here. I'll just give you a clear view of what we're doing next. Okay, so we've already got the this unit apart, ready to receive the board. We're a step ahead ourselves with that really, but I'm just going to use my handy screw tray here, which is magnetised and holds all my little screws, ready for the ones that go back in again when I reassemble this. So I'm just going to move the virtual over here. Again, I'm very protective of especially the front bezel on this, so I go down onto a microfiber cloth and just always make sure that you're not going to introduce any new scratches to that, because we don't want it to look anything like this one. All those edges, you know, all that you've got a perfect LCD screen there, and we certainly don't want to introduce any new scratches to it. Right, so I use microfiber towels for everything, so this one can go here, even though this thing's a bit ratty, but it's not mine, so I'll treat it like it's brand new. Right, so there's 4 screws on the back of here, a little bit longer than the ones they give you, but the same, and handy little tool is going to make light work of this. So it's going to pop those original screws out. I'll reuse those screws again in a second, because we'll put this casing back together and give it to the customer with the original bits and bobs that we've taken off the board in it. And I'll show you what we do inside. So depending on what specification your 5.1 will depend on what board you've got inside. Right, so there's 2 clips, one at each end here. We've just loosened those, and then you've got these 2 metal clips here that we're actually going to take off here and we'll reuse on the new one when we move across. So I'm just going to grab one of my favourite tools, and that is the right angle pick tool, which is just really handy for popping these off. Sometimes the metal barbs get a little bit latched, so just prepare for them to ping off and make sure you know where they're going to go. But yeah, there's this little barb behind here, and it's always a good idea, if you can, to just get in there and just reset that a little bit, so that when it goes onto the new one, it clips it in nicely. Do the same on this side. Just give that a little ease up one way and the other, which way does it want to go. There we go, just popped it off. And then same again, you've got that little barbed bit inside, and I'm just going to rock that in a little bit, just so that as it slides onto the new virtual dash, that latches it inside a little bit. You can see there, just a little stick up. Okay, so let's see how quickly we can move with this now. 2 clips on the ends. Just going to release those. There's a sticker on this face here. If you can get it to, if it's dry, it tends to dry out behind the dash. Yeah, that's okay, and the adhesive releases quite easily, but that'll be the only thing sort of holding you back and keeping those units together once you've done these two end clips here. Wiggle, there we go. Right, that's the back off. I always say this, but just look after this circuit board, okay? This is part of your original vehicle. It's part of a component protected unit that can immobilize your vehicle if you can't see it. So if you're not confident and you think you're going to damage this, please don't. Be very, very careful with it. We've got a bonded ribbon cable here, so that's bonded at both ends. You can snip through it. I do know customers that have just cut it off. I always use a bit of hot melt, and I just put a couple of dabs on the original board and I stick that back on. But obviously that is entirely up to you. This will not release all of this until we've popped these needles off. So I'm just going to very quickly do that. And as I'm going to be working on this side of the board, I'm going to put it into this side of the casing, because it's supported and protected in that way. Right, so I've got my original lever tool just here, and grab a bit of tape. Really handy to have a little bit of this loom tape. It's quite cheap on Amazon, and then yeah, I tend to just take a bit around my trim tool, just for prying needles. I like to have a soft edge on that pry face there, and then just support the back of your needle here. Just get that under the front edge like so, and then just rock it back over your tool, and then you're just going to rock it. It'll come with a little pop, don't worry about it, it's not broken. That's a taper fit into the base. They may even have bonded it slightly, but it jams back in again if you put it back. Okay, so pop, done. Okay, so that's the needles off the face, and now we can release the this whole board off the front, and we do that quite simply by reversing this process, dropping it into the other supported half of the unit. Just bring this over here, and I'm going to use my right angle pin tool again, pick tool, just to release the servos on this once I've dropped the front out. So it's just pinch 1, 2, 3, 4 here, and when you do that, the all of the front will drop off. But because we've got the bonded ribbon cable on the front, okay, so we've got the bonded ribbon cable board to board. Before I release all of this plastic, I'm going to just release the LCD out of this holder here, which is done quite simply by unclipping it corner by corner. Same rule applies. If you're going to do anything on the board and you need your hands free, then just drop that into the back. It's nice and safe and supported. And then I'm just going to just very gently pop these plastic tabs. You can actually do it by pressing down on the little circle behind it. They just make it a bit awkward because you want to do them all at once, but you can't. So I do 2 on the right hand side, and then I just lift that ever so slightly, and then that just pops out. Just keep it supported. So I'm just going to hold that there, and then this is the kind of awkward bit. It's not heavy, you can let it dangle on there. It's nice and strong, as you can see. That's just going to hang down. I'm going to be gluing that back to the board. So just suspend this in the air, and then you can hold on to the plastic bit if you want, but you're going to just pinch these prongs, and then just release 1, 2, 3, 4 on this side, and then that releases the board. Okay, we don't need this bit anymore. We've got the dial faces there. We can quite easily line that up and drop it back into there and save that for later. We'll be wrapping that up in the box with the bits in a little while. But then in the meantime, whilst we're on this board here, and I think before we do anything else, to be honest, the next move is to just safely secure this onto here. I've seen people do it in various different ways. You could do it with some sticky foam pads, you know, maybe 3 points of contact is the best. Personally, I like to use black hot melt, which I have right here. Probably needs a new stick. So I have a nice battery operated one. Yeah, new stick won't go in just yet, so I'll just let that heat up for a second over here. Just be mindful of, if you are using these, I mean, you don't need to listen to me to know that hot melt drips out the end of the gun, but I don't want it in the microfiber towel, so I'll just put something there to catch it. And then we're going to be just bonding this down here. As I say, if you don't care for it, you could chop that out. You could, but I think there's several arguments for retaining it personally. And remember, originally it would have been on this side here, so I think I'll bring it around to its original side. And then in the future, if we really wanted to see anything or check anything, or you know, if we thought there was a discrepancy, we could always have a look back at this board here, which when you think about it, that's going to be shooting out the back of the unit. Inside the unit, this is going to be readable, visible, still going to be active, still going to be controlled by the multifunction display, and very much alive. So whilst I'm waiting for the glue gun to heat up and save some time, I'm just going to pop the little center pins out of the clips on these. I'll pop a couple on this side and then I'll just show you what they look like. Not to be confused with surface mount LEDs, because you don't want to be shoving your spike into the middle of those. But look, little round sort of clips that once you've popped the pin out of, you can quite simply give that a little press from this side, give that a little press on this side, and then on the underside that will release your it's almost dropping off. You can see it's gone wobbly, so just pinch it, give it a little pull. Oops. And they're very robust, and they're non-specific as well. I've reassembled a couple of these and done some tests, and they don't have a positional value that they need to retain. They're all got the same number on. They just do the same thing. So that's what was attached to your needles through the board. So I'll do the same on this side. My hot melts come up to temperature, which is great. So I'll just pin this one out as well. Just drop the centres on those pins. Whilst they're dropped, just by the end of my finger, just press on it and you'll just pop that out of that side. Out we come. Right, okay, so now we're just retaining this LCD. As I said, I'm going to bond it down and leave the... I'm going to bond it down to the shiny side, which isn't the normally visible side. These are the LEDs that would have backlit it actually from the side. So that's where I'm going to mount it. So I'm just going to drop myself a couple of puddles. You do not want to be around anything that you think needs air and cooling. So I'm just going to stick to areas that don't have any IC mounts. I'm looking at the other side just to make sure there's no shadows, and I can see I've got a nice clear space straight up the middle of here. So I'm just going to drop a couple of nothing too big, move quite quick because it sets. 1, 2, maybe one over here, 3. That'll do me. I will turn that off, take my LCD and then move fairly quickly and just let that sit on there, and it'll soon cool. It's resting on the LEDs as it's mounted there, but you can see we've left a nice sort of air gap underneath all of that, so it's left the board with room to breathe. Yeah, don't go too wild with that stuff. I've seen some guys, you know, put a little bit of foam under there and even use a diagonal kind of zip tie going through these slots here, because you've got a slot here and you've got a slot here. So if you had nothing else, you could use some very thin zip tie diagonals on it. Yeah, it's not ideal, but if it's what you got, you could do it. It wouldn't be how I would choose to do it. Right, so then we've got the board prepped. That's it. Everything's removed that we need to remove. That's the speaker which you'll get all your warnings and beeps and bongs through. If you hate your beeps and bongs, now's the opportunity to unclip 1, 2, 3, and no more. It's only those 2 surface contacts there that go onto these 2 contacts here, and if you're having lots and lots of beeps and bongs about seatbelts and lights and anything else you've changed on your vehicle, you could quite simply remove them at this stage and you would have no beeps and bongs. Your new DigiDash has got some pretty prominent engine management light warning messages, and a lot of them translate into full messages as well. So yeah, it's up to you. I've got a full-blown camper with more menu messages than I've probably ever seen so far in the vehicle, so I want to try and keep that all working and solid. Right, so I'm just going to take these bits and bobs, these 4 screws, the clips which we're going to transfer over to the new one. I'll just put those aside at the moment, drop them into my magnetic holder, get some tools out of the way, collect up these 2 needles. Got my screwdriver there. I'll be using that again in a sec. So I'll pop all of this lot into a little bag, and that little bag will go back inside the dash, the original dash, and just get assembled with the back on it. I'll give that to the customer so he's got everything he needs if he wants to take it back again. Of course, you can always, you know, hot melt glue gun is not like super glue. It's not a resin. It's not, you know, it's a thermoset plastic. So if I give this a little bit of a wiggle and a jiggle, I could peel that off there, and I could peel it off the board, and it wouldn't leave a trace. So I'm going to fit this into the new board. So I'll just get this towel out of the way, slide this back over. So I'll use my little tray which just keeps it all together, mainly because of the ribbon cable. Right, so before I jump in here, just consider that if you're on a Rev 1 board, this is all Rev 2. Everybody that bought after January the 5th has got a Rev 2. You don't need to think about this, but if you do need to think about this, oh wow, it's been recording in portrait all this time. You have to spin that one around. Okay, so hopefully I found a way to edit that neatly, and you may have had some portrait experience. Great if you're on your phone, but sorry if you're not. You're back again, the wrong way around. So we're just going to line up that with that, go straight through there. I was just mentioning, if you were on a Rev 1 board, you might take this opportunity to swap the small circuit board out here for the HDMI one that you get. And I've just talked a customer through it. Honestly, with a new one, you don't need to think about it because you've already got an HDMI straight into the new design board. But the old ones used to use this ribbon cable here, over here, and then they either had a mirror cast board or alternatively a replacement HDMI board, which I have retained a few spares of. Not got many left actually. There probably aren't that many left in the world, seeing as this is an old thing now. But yeah, get in touch if you fancy doing that, or if you've got that and you need some help. So we're going to just post that through, and we're just going to drop it in place. But before we do, rewind. I have done a full assembly before and forgotten this and had to go back. This customer doesn't have a multifunction steering wheel. He's got a lovely steering wheel but no buttons on it. He hasn't got a multifunction stalk on the right hand side either, because if he had up, down and OK reset underneath, he wouldn't need this either. But we have here a battery powered RF sender signal that can secure onto the underside of his stalks, and I'm just going to plug this in. If you've requested this, then you'll have it in your kit. So it's smooth side up, and that is going to plug into, and I don't know if I get the angle just right, you can see the tips of the 3 plugs on the back of here. 1, 2, 3 is the far left hand side. It is smooth side up, and smooth side up is going to go straight in on that. So let me just get this into a nice position. And when you're concentrating on something else, don't forget to concentrate on the ribbon. So I've just supported this on the foam so I know where I am with it, and I'm just going to just put a little bend in that cable just so that I can easily get it in, line it up straight. And there's nothing to it really, just once you've got it lined up, you'll feel it ready to go. Got my sunglasses on still, a bit dark looking in here. There we go. Right, so you can feel it when it goes, and then just give it a gentle push and it stops flush with the edge of the board. Done. Okay, and then this is your RF signal receiver, and I think we've already got, have we got a bit of tape there? Sometimes they put 4 or 5 bits of tape across here and you can pinch one, but yeah, I just keep a few spare strips around and about, and then just tape that to the inside. So that is quite simply mounted to the inside of the plastic case, and that's ready to go. And then we're going to put the other board over the top. I'm going to screw that in place. There is no internal connections, and I do get this question quite a bit. Is there anything else I need to connect the board? You know, what I've missed something. There's a ribbon cable. What does it need to go to? No, this, you just basically send your port straight through that hole in the back there. I'm going to screw that down. I won't make you watch me do it. But we will use the kit that it comes with. We'll put the washers on the top because we've already got plastic mounts on the bottom for it to sit on, and we'll put the washers onto the top. I like to put the smaller side of the washer onto the board, or you can spread and distribute, just depends. You don't want to get too close to any of these surface mount components, so I like the smaller edge of it to just, you know, be on the board, just to minimize that risk. But that's just going to basically go into there, and then you're just going to line up, see what screws you can get. If you're doing a crafter, they've actually reversed it, and it confuses people because they look at these videos and then find out that actually it mounts to this side, but clearly not in this case. So we're going to mount that on there. I'm going to screw that down, assemble this, put the screws into the back of it again exactly as I found it. And then once I've done that, I will reach around here and I'll just slide those metal clips back onto this, and then I'll be ready to go back into the vehicle. I'll see you in a moment once I've popped all those screws back in. Okay, so that's all assembled, ready to go back into the vehicle. Don't need too much at this stage. I'm going to demonstrate the smart box to the customer and see what he thinks, and just see whether he wants to run the HDMI cable routing, because, you know, it'll be taking off the top box and getting a clear route through to the glove box, and then doing a neat cut through and potentially relocating his CarPlay input as well. So just want to check with him what he wants to do before he makes a final decision. With these clips that just slide back on again, just remember how they work. Again, don't want to teach you how to suck eggs, but you've got a through hole here, and just remember that's the side that the thread's going to catch on. So make sure that's on the back face. Save you unclipping it again. Do they only go one way? I don't know, but that's the way they go. Slide that on. You want to get a nice little, there it is, nice little click, as that bit that I bent back again just locks back into the hole. Just saves any of those. You don't want those dropping out whilst you've got them in the back of the dash. And that's it. We've got the new LCD screen, beautifully preserved. We've got the clips on the back, we've got the HDMI input, we've got the 2 ports here, and importantly to understand, if indeed, and it should be, this is your first ever experience of this. This is the link harness that's going to come with it, with the kit as well. And the way this is going to work, you can't really get them wrong because they won't go into the wrong places. These two ports are different. This is their proprietary connect, which actually by the angle of this you can see the cable clearance is down on that. Again, what I taught you about the levers earlier, make sure that lever is all the way away from the cable end, and then push it in gently. What am I talking about? What's he talking about? Right, so they've confused me because they've kept the colour of the OEM. This is the OEM one that you've just poked through from the from your board. That's the proprietary one, that's theirs. So yeah, lever all the way forward, and then we're going to just push that and just get it started in there. Just be careful, make sure this cable's not causing you problems, and just look, can you see the lever coming through on its own? Just ease it forward, ease it forward, ease it forward, and then just finish it with the lever. You don't want to be pushing too hard. Remember, you've got a circuit board that you've just mounted with 3 tiny screws. You don't really want to go punching it through. So just use your lever to finish it off. Just pull it home, get those clicks. Great. And then you've got the other one on this side. And it's really up to you how you configure your cables. The way I do it during my installs. And this one, the cable goes the opposite direction, which is a thing. So just same thing, start all the way over there. If you don't, you might not engage both of these teeth and you might end up having to undo it all. We're going to always do a dry test and just make sure that everything works before we let this go back and start putting the big screws in and stuff. And then that only leaves you with a female. Same rules apply. Make sure those teeth go into both of the sockets there. Good. Right, you don't get a lot of distance to play with here behind. So the guys that, you know, take special routes behind the things in the back of the dash, which we'll have a look at in a second, you want to ideally try and avoid that. I personally like to bring them up high out of the way, but it just depends how much room you feel like you've got back there, and you need to get them clear of the little vertical support struts that you'll see back there. The other thing I like to do, and again I won't make you watch me do it, is to just run a full tape up of the USBs. So I just take them in. And it's always nice if you see something that's been wired in that doesn't have, you know, unprotected cables dangling around that don't look like they should be there. And most things I see in campers are that way. Okay, so I'll run that all the way down. I'll run that all the way down to the end of the USBs. Seldom is the AirPlay plugin used. I would disregard it, but the upgrade one can be very useful, and I do host new firmwares, and I carry my latest firmware on a USB stick, which I'll be plugging in for this one once I've cross-checked what's on the screen by looking at the system. But again, I've got videos on all of that. I've got a full firmware side of things for you to have a look at, and a hosted site which you'll have access to if you purchase through me. So there we go. I'll run that right back and we'll be back in the front in a second. Okay, so we're back in the front of the vehicle. I've made the connection down here, being very careful to make sure that everything's seated correctly. I've powered the unit up. I've run tests on it to make sure that I'm happy with everything. I've been through all the settings on it. We've run the engine. I have run the latest firmware into it from our site. I have also run the startup logo into it, again on our site. And now I'm just ready to fit back. So I've just realised something I could have done whilst I was back there. I like to block out any potential light bleed by just using a thin layer of tape. This is closed cell tape. And I tried every single thickness to get the exact clean, tight fit in with this. So just carefully run round behind that lip on the front edge. This is going to stop any potential light bleed coming through the head unit at night, because the perimeter edge of the original as well was capable of this, but this has got a bit more ventilation built into it, and the LED lights from the original dash could shine through. So finish that all the way around. Okay. Perfect. Okay, and the HDMI cable will route through. We'll bring that through to the glove box because we're going to be working on the media set up separately. We've dropped the USBs down into the column so that we can access those later, taped up nicely so they'll be nice and quiet. Take the cables in through a nice big hole in the back. Slide back, just taking care to make sure that those cables are going where we intended. Just reaching a little bit like that. You don't want to get a cable folding in the way, and you'll know because it won't go back until you get them right out of the way. It can be a little bit fiddly, this bit, so just try and get the cables to just have a little bit of a seating where you want them. There we go. And when you get them where you want them, just slide back and just try and gauge whether you've got it even. That's all gone in nicely, I think. So the sure way to check is to get underneath and shine that light up again, and I'll do that now if the coast is clear, fairly clear. I'm just going to have a look up from underneath and just check that I can see those screw hole locations where I put those metal clips back in. Just make sure that's all aligned. If it's not aligned, you aren't going to get those screws back in. So we might be on it, we might be just off it. Let's have a look. Turn on the torch again. Okay, there it is, you can see. You see the hole. It's just it's got a tiny bit to the left. I can see the metal clip on the other side as well. Good. So I'll just wiggle that in a tiny bit more. If I know it just needs to come across a tiny bit more, and then I'll run those screws in and that'll be secure. Firmware updated, installed, set up. Please review or check out my other subscription videos like the calibration and setup video. Sorry, I'm shining the torch at you. Check out the calibration menu because that's stage 4 is the same for pretty much everybody. Actually, it might have changed a little bit, so I'll cut another video now and add it to the end of this. Okay, so we are back in the vehicle. We've got the startup sequence sorted. We just reboot it, put the key in. We don't have a HDMI input right now, so I'll just move off that. Right, I just thought I'd take you through what's with the setup. Okay, so there's a few new things in the settings. We've got ambient light, always there. That basically changes some of the accent colours in the background. These green here, the menu accents, the dots, all the green bits you can see at the moment. Maintenance is just going to tell you how many days or miles or kilometres or whatever you've got it set at. You've got until next service. I've still got to change the units over in a second. Dashboard type, we're normal, we're not sport because we're in the diesel rev range. So we change that to normal. Set time usually takes a couple of seconds to send and confirm. So I could just demonstrate that. We're actually 2 minutes slow. So let me send 409, okay. 209 rather, 1409. Oh, the time changed just as I was doing it. Anyway, yeah, there we go. So it just takes a couple of seconds to register and goes in. And then version info, that's going to tell you what firmware where you're on. So if you want to check if there's a newer one, get in touch and I'll let you know. And brightness is going to change with the lights. So if you like 12 during the day and 3 at night, it makes me happy. Depends if you've got very sensitive eyes, you might want to change that. Pointer style is basically the colour of your needles. How do they follow the colour, or do you keep them red like they are now? Car colour, pretty obvious. I always set that to right hand drive. Obviously if you're left hand drive, set it to left hand drive, but I prefer to have that set. Language, English. Don't bother with BT Connect, haven't found a useful feature for it. Wi-Fi Connect, if the firmware servers are good, then you can get something from that. You set up a hotspot on your phone, give it the name 1234, give it the password 12345678, and you can connect your head unit, your DigiDash to your phone using Con. You'll know it's connected because an IP address will appear. If you've got an iPhone, you'll probably need to go to settings, about iPhone name. You have to change your iPhone name from the default that it gives you. That's how it changes its Wi-Fi announce name as well in Bluetooth. And Bluetooth. Online upgrade, that's what you would click once you've made the connection. So if you just keep clicking that and it doesn't work, it's because you're not connected to the internet. It doesn't come with free internet. Okay, so I'm just going to press back to get out of there. Convenience. There may be some things in here that you can't affect. I think auto lock is good. You can't select it on this 5.1. Door unlock all doors, you can change that. Don't think anybody worries too much about carjackers in the UK. Hopefully not. Windows convenience disabled. That would be to hold the key fob down and have that windows go down. That is disabled at the moment. Can't enable it. Mirror adjust, single adjust. Just because you can't change some of these things, it doesn't mean you haven't got them. You can't have coast because you haven't got a DSG. Rear view mirror turn because it doesn't do it. Oh, I think we thought we'd worked out what that was called the other day. Lights and vision. Unlikely to be able to change these things on a 5.1 either. Some of the light headlight changes and things like that come with their own default timings for staying on or retaining, or you can VCDS them, much more reliable. Auxiliary settings, again, we haven't got a lot of this in here. Let's just have a look and see if there's anything we can do. We can reset the tyres. Hasn't got TPMS. We've turned it off actually. That's there's a new menu to get rid of that. Car type, transport. if you don't see a transporter when you change it, you need to get out your vehicle, lock it, wait 10-15 minutes for the BCM to sleep, settle, and then when you come back it will work. Calibration. Okay, so standard is 80 litre tank. If you don't know, put 80, go and fill it up. If it's not full, put 70, and then it's full, and that's what you've got, because there were only really 2 variations. I think some people might have a 60, but they're pretty old. Speed calibration, most 18-inch wheels need 2, I know that. If you've got adaptive cruise control or standard cruise control, set that to 60. Have a look on here. If it says 60 miles per hour, which I'll change in a second, then you're bang on. If you're not, if you're a couple of miles under, set that to 2 and it'll come up 2 miles. If you're 5 miles an hour under, set it to 5, it'll come up. It'd be lovely if we could all set it to GPS, but most of us have got a cruise or an adaptive maybe, and so we have to set it to that really, because that's, you know, you're going to manually set that, you want to be on it, and that is set by the manufacturer unless you go in and tweak things yourself and then tune back into that, which you're probably unlikely to do. I might do it, but actually no, I might not do it, because my wheels and tyres get me pretty much bang on GPS anyway, so I don't bother. If you wanted to run in the logo change, this is where the only other thing you would do is check your size, your speed, and if you've got a USB with a startup file on it, change that to OK, press OK, change that to OK, press OK, which I'm not going to do because I've done it already, and it will reboot and it will read that file. So it's not your memory stick in most cases. If your memory stick worked for a firmware upgrade, it will also work for this. It's that you need to go to that hidden reboot feature to activate it. Engineering mode, leave it off unless you've got a friend in China with a computer working on the system side and he knows your VIN number because you gave it to him, and he'll read some of your CAN bus data and fix something for you. Physical lights, don't turn that on please, it's no good, it's not for you unless you've got a vehicle that's got a cluster of physical lights that include things like parking, battery, indicators, engine management potentially, a little bank of lights like the virtual bank of lights you can see at the top and at the bottom here. We don't have that in its physical form, so don't switch it on or else it'll take it off here and you won't have any more indicators. Actually, you won't notice anything change immediately, but then later on you won't have any indicators. Right, I have still got to do units on this because we did the lockout and wait, and units is one of the things that doesn't appear in the menu until the BCM has had its sleep and wake up. So I'm going to swing this into the United Kingdom. And wouldn't it be nice if these things corrected our data read from CAN bus, but they don't. But they will one day, maybe. Anyway, it's in MPG at the moment. MPH, and miles, and all our units are correct now. Preference, let's have a quick look in there. You can display your voltage if you want, shoving, or you can hide it, up to you. I might leave it on for this customer. It says 11 here, it says 11.3 on its dash. Yeah. Reverse left and right, that's just in case your remote control has alternated your left and right. It can be quite annoying if it has. I leave the other settings, up and down and zoom, play with those. You just keep pressing OK until you're happy with it, and you just basically looking to get your dials so they're not clipping the surround. Race mode's really good if you've got a drag engine fitted. If you haven't, don't bother with it because you're not that fast, and the quarter mile isn't for you. They haven't got time to wait for you to trundle down it in your T5.1. Boot sound, you could turn that off because it sounds a bit like your fairy godmother has granted all your wishes, which if she did, it would be to give you a DigiDash, right? Well, you've already got it, and it sounds a bit cheap and cheap. And don't turn it on. I unplugged the speaker in this because I figure this guy's going to suss out his HDMI connect and either buy a box off me or connect it to his Atoto. But his Atoto has got like a lot less specification, a quarter of the RAM of my box. Gosh, I think I've got 8 times more storage and memory, but the processor will be the big one. It all goes together. Tire pressure, you can turn that off now. Yay! So if you haven't got TPMS, just turn that off and you won't get bothered. That's a Volkswagen Golf 7 thing, and it's whether it reads from CAN bus or not. Just leave it, you don't need it. I've turned off phone mirror. By default it's on, and actually what that does is out of the left and right menu it hides the phone link. So if you're not going to use it, I say knock it out of your menu, because it's just a bit annoying and it tries to connect sometimes. WLAN, wireless LAN, country, don't bother setting that. I don't think you need it. It might change the LAN standard, the wireless LAN standard per country. I can't see why that's useful. Ambient light, we're back to the start now, so that's choosing your colour for the background highlights. And that is about it. New stuff. Well, I've hidden some of the new stuff because there is a phone link menu in here where you can cast your you can do phone connect via wireless Android Auto or wireless CarPlay. If it's the only thing you've got, great. If you've got a digital Android media screen like there is to my left, or you've got one of my boxes, or you've got something else, great. But if you want to send your phone to it, you can. You have to just work through the on-screen menus on that. It's quite a nice feature to have, but HDMI input through my other equipment is significantly more advanced. Okay, so I would leave this on something useful. I would leave it on maintenance, but I've gone the wrong way in the menu, as always. Oh, there it is. Is it in Chinese or English? Ah, good, we've got days back. The new firmware fixed that. Okay, so I leave that on there just because it's a useful bit of information. It's a countdown at the end of the day, guys. Don't get too upset about the kilometres here. I have asked and asked, but it has not changed. And it's the same across several vehicle ranges. So one day. Travel data, you can view whatever you like in here, up and down, same as you could before. Is there anything new in here? I'm going to fix the consumption and driving range on this, so I'm going to go in and do my fix. I've done another video on that, so I won't labour on the point. But yeah, go and check that out. And if you've got a friend with VAG.com or VCDS, they can go in and just change one unit value. It takes about 30 seconds and all will be sorted. What else have we got? Navigation, yeah, so I leave it on the HDMI input typically and use it all the time. Love it. You say all the same views are still there as you've seen in previous videos. The car's pretty in green, and that's about it really. So this one's done. I'm happy with it. You can hold down OK. I'm doing all this with the remote. The remote can fasten to the stalk and be out the way and look quite neat. 52 miles range left on this thing. That's probably not true. So let's plug in and see if I can switch that over quickly. There's a full video on it if you want to find out more, and I'll be back in a second.